This is a Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 96.
Call it a journey for a reason. I mean, I don't obviously expect to be some sort of consistent trader.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host. He wants to meet a Navy SEAL someday. Do you know one? Clay Trader.
Now, I promise we record all this after the actual interview itself, and this will make a little bit more sense as you listen to the interview here. But yeah, I think Navy SEALs are like the coolest thing ever, and I would love to meet one someday. And so if you do know a Navy SEAL, or if you are like a true Navy SEAL or have been, and you're into the stocks, let's just hang out. Let's hang out. We'll have you on as a guest, and we're gonna have a good time. And I might ask for your autograph, just because I think Navy SEALs are like awesome. So, Ches, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to be as mesmerized as me, but would you agree that? And we'll open this up to all military, but special forces, pretty cool stuff.
I was going to say special forces, especially, across the branches, they're such amazing people, not only in the skill set that they have, but just the dedication. We talk about dedication and passion when it comes to trading. I bet you would agree with me, Clay, that it really goes just a step beyond to kind of do something like that. The difficulty in becoming and achieving that and, operating in that fashion is just absolutely mind-blowing. And I would also love your autograph, and I'd love to kind of have a conversation with you, because it's not that I want any crazy stories or how many confirmed kills or anything like that. It's just you as a person I just admire. So even though I don't know who you are specifically out there, I'm sure one will listen at some point. First off, thank you for your service. But yeah, we'd love to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, and for that matter, all military people, because I mean to kind of piggyback off your point, Ches, about you got to have kind of that little step more for all that stuff. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, or at least last time I checked, there's no bullets whizzing by my head as I'm sitting at my trading station trying to trade. I don't think there's any bullets or tripwires or anything out in Denver when you're setting up your option trading strategies, right? I mean,
yep. we get to have this conversation and have these podcasts and these interviews with the freedom we have because of exactly what they do and pretty much defending those freedoms and those rights that we have. So yeah, all military in general, totally just can't thank you guys enough, really.
Yeah, but special forces, not just Navy SEALs. If you're like special forces, hey, shoot us an email. We'd love to just let's hang out, right? You want to be our friends. I guess that's what Ches and I are getting at. So, but on that note, after that big discussion, if you stick around for long enough for the interview, you'll see we just kind of had something that we all had a good chuckle about. But today we are interviewing Mark, which means nothing to Ches and I as we reveal kind of in the interview itself. But Mark is better known as AlphaThor in the chat room. So for those of you that hang out there, I'm assuming you've seen his name, and he's pretty new to the market. He started off as a innocent little puppy dog, and has kind of gone on a steroidal movement, from that point forward, which he'll discuss. But taking things very serious. He's by no means making millions upon millions of dollars. He's at a stage where I think a lot of traders are at, and which is why I really enjoyed this interview, because it's gonna just make it kind of, hey, yeah, this is part of the game. There's nothing wrong with being at this stage in your journey, which is, at the current one where, AlphaThor is. So let's just hop right in and buckle up for an exciting and hopefully a very worthwhile interview. Well, Mark, welcome to the show, but I'm going to just tell you, this is going to only time I'm going to call you Mark. So you're good with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been even when you joined, I always thought the name AlphaThor was a cool name. So it's always stuck with me. And then when we met in Pittsburgh, it just stuck with me that much more. So it was funny. Before we got started, Ches and I were talking, and I was like, Mark, all right, we got a Mark. And I had no idea. And Nate said, oh, that's Alpha. I'm like, oh, AlphaThor. And then Ches is like, oh, yeah. I just figured that out yesterday, too, that's who the smart guy was Alpha. So nobody knows Mark by Mark. Ches and I, he was just AlphaThor to us. But for those of you that are in the chat room, on not even that routine of a basis, I'm sure you've seen AlphaThor. He's pretty active in there and a good, valuable member. So we're happy to get him on the show here. Had a few technical difficulties, but after doing a little bit more research. Alpha got his situation figured out. So here we are. So again, Alpha, thank you and welcome to the show.
Cool. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's just hop right in. Like I said, I feel like I know you just because we've met in person and hung out and all that stuff. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, I know bits and pieces. So for full disclosure, I can't say this is like a totally off the cuff conversation because we have hung out in real life before, but we haven't gone into all the nooks and crannies of your journey. So with that being, said, where did all this start for you? Where did you hear about the stock market? And, what got you interested enough to want to get more active in it?
Well, basically, I think it was about a year ago in January, I read Tony Robbins' book on Money Master the Game, or 7 simple ways to financial freedom. And basically, like, long story short, he was just talking about like compounding interest and like Roth IRAs and that type of thing. And just the sooner you start investing, the more money you'll have when you retire. And so basically, I set up a Roth IRA, and a little bit soon after that, I kind of just like had like an epiphany, like I could actually buy a stock today and sell it tomorrow for, say, it went up $1, and I had 100 shares of it. I would make $100 just like in a short period of time. So, I mean, that really just caught my attention. And
now, did you start taking the calculator out and start doing $100 a day compounded and realize that you'd be a millionaire in a year?
No, never got into it that far, but I just knew how important it was just to start like this. The younger, the better.
Younger the better is for sure, and I wish somebody had harped on that to me more when I actually just got into the workforce, right away, straight out of college. So you realize that you are going to try to focus on some shorter term type trading, try to make your money a little quicker than just kind of holding and hoping the market goes up for year over year. So obviously the market has interested you. Now, where did you go from there? Did you just open up the Roth IRA and just start buying some stocks you knew of and hope they go up, or did you have any methodology or strategy?
Basically, I just set up a Roth, and then of course Tony talks about like Carl Icahn in there, and so I was doing like some research into Carl Icahn, and I seen that a new stock was going IPO, and that Carl Icahn was investing in it, Manitowoc Food Service, MFS. So I bought some shares, like 50 shares or so, when it IPO'd, and within a short period of time, I was up like close to like $100, I think.
And this was all in your. You said you set up a IRA account.
Yeah, it was a Roth IRA.
Okay, so when you got that stock, were you still of the mindset, I'm holding this thing for the next 40 years, or were you still thinking, I want to trade this, I want to hold because, you had that epiphany, like you said. So what was your actual mindset? I mean, what was your exit plan? Hold it for 40 years, or hey, if it goes up relatively quickly, I'm going to get out? Yeah,
exactly. It was more of like a shorter term trade. I mean, I had no knowledge about the stock market, like moving averages or like anything like that. That would even like imply, I guess, staying into it. I was just like, all right, I'm happy with that profit. I'm hopping out here. Profit is profit, basically.
So it sounds like you and I both started on the same journey. You puppet traded Carl Icahn. I puppet traded Jim Cramer as our first stocks that we ever traded. Now, who did you set up this Roth IRA with, out of curiosity?
Vanguard.
So do you remember your commissions at all to buy and sell that stock?
Yeah, I believe it's like $7.99.
Oh, okay. All right. So you weren't as idiotic as me in paying whatever I did, $30 or 50. I don't even remember what it was, but nothing crazy commission wise. So that was your very first ever trade, was that MSF?
Yeah.
So you sold it for $100?
Yeah, close to that. It might have been a little bit less, but
okay.
I think I made like $1 or $2 on it or something.
So after that, walk us through. Well, actually, how long ago was this? About a year ago, you said?
Yeah, this was like back in March, I would say.
Oh, okay. So not even a year ago, but you make this trade. Walk us through. I mean, how are you feeling about yourself? Do you feel like you got the market figured out? Do you feel like this it's all easy? I mean, where was your state of mind after? I mean, your first trade, it was a success. I mean, did you have things conquered or what?
No, that definitely not. I mean, I just thought it was like really awesome, just like that whole idea of just using money to make money. And there's definitely like no fool's gold, but I definitely started like pursuing like other ways to like um, make money like in shorter term time frames, which obviously led to penny stocks.
Ooh, so let's go down the rabbit hole of penny stocks. Are you a StockTwits guy, an iHub guy, a Twitter guy? How were you finding kind of ideas, or actually, what even inspired you to look down the rabbit hole of penny stocks? Was it just because you could control, 100,000 shares or something, and then did you see some stories about 500% gainers, or what was it?
Yeah, it was probably just the fact that seeing 100% gainers like happening on like I guess frequent basis, and just the whole idea of just being able to like double your money like in like such a short period of time.
Okay, so you said a frequent basis. What was giving you this impression that penny stocks were making these huge moves on a frequent basis? Where did this impression come from?
Well, I think it was like shortly after there was like I think it was like PGRN or something like that. It was a shipping company back in like April or so. I think it went from like I'm not sure, but I think it went from like 60 cents to like a couple dollars, and I was just like, my mind was blown. Then there was like RPRX, and there was just like, I felt like in spring there was just like penny stocks that were going pretty getting big percent gains like on like at least like a weekly basis.
Now, I'm not disputing the fact. I'm just trying to prove or make a point here that the way the human mind works is it's very selective. And this is not just alpha. This is everybody. But obviously, people get into the market because, wow, you can make money pressing buttons. And then all of a sudden, you start to take notice of, oh, wow, that stock made a big move. Oh, wow, that stock make a big move. And at this point, penny stocks. So a lot of people thinking, which led him to believe, oh, wow, this frequently happens. This happens like a lot. So penny stocks are a good idea. Keep in mind, yeah, you're seeing these big percentages. Now, whether or not, due to liquidity, you can even, legitimately buy and sell those, that's a whole nother discussion. But just looking at percentages, you may be thinking, wow, these penny stocks are moving all over the place. The question, though, is you got to remember the backside of things about how many of them don't do anything at all, or just, peter out real quick and then go right back to oblivion. So yeah, penny stocks can have the appearance that these big moves frequently happen. But I have a feeling that as we learn more about this penny stock rabbit hole here, you're not going to tell us that you made frequent doubles of your money. So anyways, you're noticing, or you think that these, big moves are frequently happening. So did you start to put some money in the penny stocks, or where did you go after you kind of noticed all these bigger movers?
Yeah, definitely. I opened up an E-Trade account, and
E-Trade, the baby got you, huh? The baby.
The baby.
You thought it'd be
always
great
gets
to
you.
pay $10 to buy and sell.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I had no idea about commissions. That was
Clearly.
like an acceptable
Anybody
rate
that signs
for
up
me.
for E-Trade has no idea, because
Right.
there's so many better. But that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because, and Ches, would you agree? And, we're probably going to irritate some people because, we're not calling you stupid, but if you're using E-Trade and you're an active trader, now, if you're just investing like one trade a month, fine. But if you're some sort of active trader making 3 or more trades a week and you're using E-Trade, take that as a warning flag that you really haven't dug in deep enough to figure out there's better ways to run your business from a cost perspective. Is that that's a fair statement, right, Ches? That's kind of a telltale sign that business management, because remember, as traders, we are running a business, but that business management is not the most efficient.
We're not calling you stupid. We're just calling you misguided, and that you need to do a little bit more research. So to put it into kind of layman's terms here, it's the equivalent of if you're a truck driver, you decide to pay twice as much for your gasoline instead of paying whatever the market rate is. So yeah, there's obviously much better ways to do it, especially if you're an active trader. If you're somebody like Clay said, who's putting on trades once a month, maybe once or a couple times a quarter, sure, fine. If you have all your stuff managed by E-Trade and in their accounts, then whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But if you were an active trader trading even daily, if you're swing trading and putting on trades, every couple days, you're just paying much more than you need to pay. Unfortunately, most of your commissions are going into their advertising, and that's how most people find it, and I get it. There's a lot of stuff out there that you need to kind of look up for brokers, but there are a lot better offerings, especially for those who are active.
Yeah, and just we'll put it in the show notes, but I've done a video where just taking and looking at the savings that you can get. Benjamin Franklin, a penny saved is a penny earned. So if you just do more research and pay, to go along with Chez's example, kind of the going rate for gas for the truck that you're driving, then via all that money you've saved, you can literally take Caribbean vacations. You can get season football tickets. And again, we'll link that video in the show notes. But yeah, broker is definitely something that needs to be considered. And there's many other choices out there, we assure you, other than just E-Trade. So we're going to blame Alpha for taking us off on that tangent. But that's good that I like how you said, yeah, I signed up with E-Trade. I didn't know what I was doing. What? Yeah. Right. So, but good job to admit that. But so you signed up for an E-Trade account. How much money do you put in this thing?
I think I put in like about $1,000. Actually, I started with 500, but then I was getting paid, so I just kept funneling money into it.
Okay, so you got an E-Trade account. You want to do penny stocks. Walk us through your first penny stock. I mean, or I guess first couple, whatever you decide. But I want to hear about this.
Basically, I joined a chat room, and that was a little crazy. I'm sure you know TS.
Yep.
So what's it called? I got into that exactly, and it was just high a day, low a day, just constant. It was definitely chaos in a sense. But what's it called? So I mean, I was in these chat rooms and I was pulling up tickers that people were talking about, and I would just see it nice little bull pull or a nice big bull pull, and I'd be all right, this thing's gonna keep going, and I'd buy probably 100 shares or 200 shares of something, and then I'd figure out sooner than later that I bought basically the top and sold the consolidation.
Well,
it's a rite of passage.
Let me ask this though: did the chat room influence you to buy where you did? Because were these chat rooms instigating a lot of excitement? Were they getting kind of everybody's all excited about it? So did that play a role? Now, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You're the one that pulled the trigger. But
right.
Were these chat rooms? Because I know what you're talking about, but what is there a lot of excitement being built for these? Did that play any role in you buying when you did and where you did?
I mean, there was definitely excitement, but like you said, ultimately I pulled the trigger. So I mean, it wasn't somebody saying buy here or something. But
the chat room in and of itself was building up all this excitement because hey, it's going to a new high, new high, new high, and
exactly.
that for those of you out there listening, that's just chaos. That's not a professional trading environment. That's not a professional trading room. A professional trading room is going to make an alert, leave it at that, and any sort of new high, new high, new high, new high, they're going to be what are you doing? You're pumping. Get out of here. Delete, delete, delete. And that's just, so if you're in a chat room and you think that's what an actual trading chat room is, if you think that's what an actual professional trading environment is, that's just called pumpers. That's called pumpers and dumpers. It's a game of musical chairs. I mean, I'm not astray here, am I, Chez? That's not real. What he described, again, good job taking personal responsibility, but I can totally see for these new people that sign up for these chat rooms and everybody's pumping up and getting all excited. I mean, of course that's going to lead people to buy the tops.
Yeah, definitely. And, the unfortunate thing is, just like you said, you really define it with the game of musical chairs. You buy into a position and now you're going in this chat room hyping it up so that essentially you can sell it into the next sucker who's going to kind of bid the price up. And he's essentially going to be buying those shares from somebody who's already making a profit on it. It's just, you couldn't sum it up any better than a game of musical chairs. An example I like to give a lot of the time is that, and this is not just to kind of, obviously our community is drastically different than any, and I've been in a couple different chat rooms, but I've actually traded an alert to the long side, and Hooch actually saw the same alert and saw a trade plan essentially to the short side. And the cool thing about it is that with both of our management strategies and both of our theses on essentially the ticker, we actually ended up both making money. But by no means was Hooch saying, down with this sucker, burn it to the ground, it's worth nothing. And I wasn't saying this thing's going to the moon. It was just an alert. It was something for us to get our eyes on and then base our own kind of trade plans around. So I always just think it's crazy that we made money on both sides of the trade just based on our own kind of trade ideas. So that's obviously a drastic different than, the game of musical chairs. But touching on the fact that you had bought the top, which, like I said, it's a rite of passage. We've all done it. I want to hear about what did you do after you bought the top and this thing is now kind of tumbling down? What type of, where are you finding your uncle point? Was it just a defined amount of money? Was it, 50% of the value of it? Or, what management techniques were you trying to use when you were trading in that chat room at the time?
I guess just basically just monetary value, which is like whatever I was basically comfortable losing. And sometimes, obviously, when like ego or so got in the way, I would just let it sometimes spin a little out of control.
So, in other words, there was no strategy because it was monetary value, but sometimes ego got in the way, so you would just let it spin out of control. So there was no solid rhyme or reason. Is that a fair kind of assessment?
Yeah, at this point, I didn't even know what a stop loss was.
I love that you admitted that because, hey, Ches, that's another welcome rite of passage, right? I mean, or did you always know what a stop loss was? I guess I don't know about this. Did you? Because for me, I can totally relate. Stop loss, what does that mean?
I knew what a stop loss was, but at the same time, I had absolutely zero idea. I actually did a lot of research before I ever put any trades on, and by research, I mean a bunch of Googling and reading some Investopedia articles or something, but I actually never, ever put my stop loss in a logical location, so I'd either get stopped out all the time, or when I did get stopped out, it was for a much bigger loss than, losing a quarter of my account in a trade. So I knew what a stop loss was. I would put them in, but I had absolutely no way to use them correctly. And there is a right way and a wrong way to use them. Obviously, we love when anybody's trying to limit their loss, but if you're doing it incorrectly, you're just hurting yourself.
So you knew what a hammer was, but then you're using a hammer to pound in a screw. Is that essentially what was going on?
Exactly.
All right. So, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ches, because we see it all the time. Oh, yeah, I understand risk management. I use a stop loss. And then people tell us where they're using the stop loss, what levels they're putting it in. And you just, well, yeah, you know what the hammer is, but you're sure not, pounding that hammer, or you're sure not pounding a nail with that hammer. You're trying to, drive screws with that thing. But here, Mark and I, Elf and I mean, we didn't even know what a stop loss was. So I'm glad you admitted that. Now I don't feel so shameful in regards to that. So you're pretty much running around, no strategy or anything. I mean, were any of these trades successful, or was it just, constantly buying the tops of these things?
No, it was definitely not successful at all. So, I mean, I guess that was kind of good in a sense because there wasn't like any, like you say, fool's gold, and So, I mean, like out of like so much, there was probably like 20 or so trades. I think I lost pretty much all of them, and like I won one.
Ooh, I'm not trying to kick you when you're down or anything, but that might be one of the worst winning records we've ever had on the show. I mean, I'm not.
I want to commend Alpha as well, though, because honestly, most people would be so discouraged and disheartened at that they would just literally throw in the towel. But obviously, Alpha's still here trading today, so kudos to you for kind of sticking with it. Now, was this kind of at this point with a very, very poor win record? I'm sure your account is just dwindling. Are you still making kind of deposits from your day job?
Yeah, exactly. I was just basically just funneling more money into it. I mean, I think I basically all said and done when I was done with E-Trade was down about 1,500. So it wasn't like nothing too crazy, and 500 of it was commission. So,
thank you for sharing that. But holy crap, 500, and that's not hard to believe at all. Alpha, I assure you, is not exaggerating. But that's why Ches and I kind of went on our little mini rant about as business owners, we need to be cost efficient, cost mindful, and wow, $500 in commissions. That's crazy. So. I guess I'm making an assumption here, but it sounds like during all of this, because you never had any fool's gold, did you always kind of just feel like you were kind of just flapping in the wind, not really ever knowing truly what was going on? Was that kind of always kind of itching at the back of your mind?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So what was finally the event or whatever that kind of, the straw that broke the camel's back where you're like, all right, Alpha, I need to tap the brakes here and I need to kind of reassess? Was that a specific trade, or where did that all come about?
Basically, finding you is probably like one of the main things that spun that around. Like, my month subscription for the chat room ended, and I was watching YouTube videos, and I was watching your videos more so than the other so-called quote-unquote teacher was talking to me about, like, his free content. and I just felt like I was learning more from your free content on YouTube, and I was like, all right, I can actually get into this, and definitely need to educate myself at this point. So I ended up getting what's it called, access to the inner circle, and
I do remember when you joined. Now, if you don't mind, how much did that month subscription cost you at that other chat room?
150.
Oh goodness.
And I only bring that up, and Clay, I'm going to cut you off before you rant. I'll do it in the nicest way I can do it as possible here. So for context here, our inner circle is our community that has the trading alerts and kind of an open lounge that discuss with other traders, just pretty much whatever you want. Clay charges $99 for 12 months. So and it's not $99 a month; it's $99 for 12 months of access. So just to keep in mind, Alpha joined our community, and he got a year's worth of access for less than the cost of 1 month elsewhere. But that's I'm not trying to kind of harp on that. I just wanted to bring it up for context here. And obviously, so the way you actually found Clay was, I'm assuming you were YouTubing maybe some of these penny stocks or just tickers in general that you're interested in. You ran across them there.
Yep. Basically, yeah. And I just got the IC just because just the value, like you were just saying, is just insane for the best bang for the buck.
So you see Clay doing all these voodoo lines and all this kind of crazy stuff on charts, and this is all foreign to you at this point, right? You're not really versed in technical analysis for the most part?
No, I mean, at this point, I still pretty much had no idea about too much about anything.
I remember when you showed up in the chat room, though, you were kind of, you clearly had no idea what you were doing, but, and I mean this as a compliment, you were definitely aware of yourself. You understood that you just seemed like kind of a lost little puppy dog, that you were willing to listen, but you weren't like some of these people that show up that are, they think very highly of themselves. And not that any of us have it all figured out, but there is a place when you're newer to trading. I mean, when you're new, even if you try to act like you know what you're talking about, you're going to expose yourself very quick that you have no idea what you're talking about. But that was not the case for you. You showed up, you were, like I said, the lost puppy dog, and what exactly, I mean, were you seeking at that point in time when you showed up for our chat room? Did you expect to? I guess what were your expectations going in?
I guess not really sure. I mean, just like I just needed a solid chat that would basically. I mean, at this point, I was still involved with penny stocks, so I mean, I was taking a look at like the trading pit under $1, and I mean, sure, there was some activity in there, but it wasn't as crazy as like the last one. But I mean, at this point, I think it was I got into IC, and then exactly like a week later, ended up getting CTU. Then it was 4 days after that we ended up meeting up in Pittsburgh, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, I remember that where everyone's kind of bang, bang, bang. This AlphaThor guy shows up. Okay, he's kind of the lost puppy dog. Then all of a sudden, everybody was like, all right, this lost puppy dog is serious, because then all of a sudden you were Clay Trader University. And then we're like, all right, wow, this dude is really, really serious, because he just joined like 2 weeks ago, and now he's going to meet up with all of us in Pittsburgh. So I guess just walk us through the Pittsburgh experience. I mean, you met up with, for a little context here, I guess twice a year has been the pattern, but we try to do meet and greets. We'll pick a city, and then people of the community can meet up and all hang out. And so that's what Alpha is talking about when he met up with us in Pittsburgh. But I mean, were you kind of nervous going into Pittsburgh, or not really have any expectations, or, but how was kind of that whole experience for you?
I mean, I just thought it would be awesome just to be able to pick the brains of some traders, people that do this for a living, and just to see like where basically everybody's head's at. I mean, like at this point, I'm still basically so new to everything, but
Well, I want to give you credit for that, first off, realizing that, you didn't just join university, and now even, months after that Pittsburgh meetup, you think that you're a fully, you're still learning, and that's obviously a great thing to realize. People really shoot themselves in the foot when they start to say, oh, I got this thing, I learned this thing already, or I did something. We harp on this on a lot of podcasts too. Just because you kind of went through some education, by no means does that mean that, you're done. The market is always evolving, it's always changing, and the thing as traders is that we always have to adapt and kind of learn how to manage the waters that we're facing. So kudos to you. But I mean, you can be honest, Alpha. After I met you, I know I gave you a ton of hot stock picks, and you're a millionaire, and you're talking on your helicopter right now. But yeah, it was absolutely awesome to kind of meet you, and I was blown away when you're like, I just kind of joined CTU 4 days ago. It's nice to meet you guys. I was like, all right, just like Clay said, this lost little puppy dog is really diving headfirst in here. So it was great to hear. So you kind of join university, you meet up with all of us, you kind of put faces to names, and you realize that, I didn't walk in my Armani suit. I kept that in the hotel room because I didn't want to, show anybody up because I'm this rich, fancy hedge fund trader guy. But
you did have on your snakeskin boots, though. That was the one problem.
Of course. I mean, I always got to wear those. Those are my signature style right there, Clay. But yeah, so you Pittsburgh meet is over. You go home. Now, I'm assuming, did you start diving into the education, or were you just hanging out trying to kind of decipher the chat room?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, right after CTU, I just started binge watching CTU. Obviously started off with PSSG, and basically just sat there for all my spare time was basically going into watching all the courses.
Now, PSSG is the Penny Stock Survival Guide. Being that you had been in penny stocks, did that course kind of open your eyes up to thinking, oh, okay, that's how all this stuff is working? Was that a kind of a good course that really kind of shed light on how the penny stock market, or what the penny stock market really is, and how it should be kind of navigated?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it basically just gave me such a great idea of what to expect and those type of things. I mean, obviously I didn't. I mean, I'm sure some people, but I wasn't expecting to for any of these trades or with the penny stocks to be long-term investments. So, I mean, I guess I kind of knew that as kind of the basics, but.
Right. So you're going through the courses. Have you gotten through all the courses at this point in time, I would assume?
No, I mean, even at this point, I wouldn't say I'm 100% through everything. And that's
have you gotten through the core courses though? Robotics?
Yeah, absolutely. Got through most of the core courses.
And after you got through the courses, what was your next step of action? Was it paper trading? Did you just hop right in with real money? Walk us through that next phase after you've invested in your education and you've put in the time to go through the courses.
So basically, I kind of just took the summer off this past 2016 summer, just to basically just watch the market, go through the courses. And ended up getting a new broker, and
hey!
Yeah, so I ended up going with Interactive, and the commissions are pretty great with Interactive. A lot of people in the chat use Interactive, so I have nothing bad to say about them. But basically, it was good. I started paper trading Interactive brokerage platform because it was definitely way different than eTrade Pro. So.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of touch on next. I was going to say I'm hoping that you started to put into practice what you were learning. So it sounds like you did that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you paper traded for a good amount of time, right? You actually, I don't think you've been putting on too many live trades even at this moment. You've just been kind of making sure your strategy works, right?
Yeah, in that sense, absolutely. I mean, I think it was 2 months or so. I started paper trading in the end of July, and I put my first live trade on, I think it was the end of September, some point in September. I'm not even too sure, but I guess
that was a winning trade. I feel like I remember you walking through that in the chat room, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Didn't you put a short order in up at a resistance level or something?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was either middle of September or. Yeah, it must have been the middle of September. Sorry for the confusion, but
so anyway. that first trade though was a winner, right?
Yeah, it was. I think I bought 2 contract. I guess long story short, I ended up getting into options for.
Well, let's not make that long story short, because I think a lot of people, especially from your background, meaning coming from penny stocks, what got you interested in options in the first place?
I guess first thing is first, but basically just the overwhelming basically the chat room. I guess I would say that there was a lot of people that weren't too interested in penny stocks, and a lot of people were basically trading options and being pretty successful at it. So, and just the realization that penny stocks can move just as fast, if not faster, than penny stocks.
You mean options?
Options, yeah, my fault. Yeah, options can move faster than penny stocks.
And going way back to your original point, and I was hoping I could complete the circle, which I'm going to try to do here. You know, you made the comment about penny stocks. Oh, they seem to be frequently making big moves. So now knowing what you do about options, would you agree with me that options in all actuality move all the time and make penny stocks almost like watching paint dry? Is that a fair statement when you know just how options work and how pretty much day in and day out those things can be making good solid moves?
Yes, that's definitely accurate.
So that's the one thing where, yeah, there may be an impression that penny stocks are moving, but and whether you use, the courses we offer to learn options, that's not the point. But dig into options. Now, options can come across as very complicated, which I assure you they're not. You just got to get the right, educational program to explain them to you in a proper fashion. But definitely, again, whether it's with us or not, consider learning options if you think that, well, I have a small account, so my only hope is penny stocks. Options can definitely open up a whole nother world for you and are a great tool to get around the, that pattern day trading rule. We'll put a link in the show notes for that too on how to avoid that using options and cash accounts and stuff like that. So you decided you want to use options, and I'm assuming that's when you took the options course pretty much from that point and got through. Did you take the advanced ones too, or just the basic one?
Yeah, I went through some of the advanced, just like the credit spreads and a couple of the beginning courses, or courses, or
right,
whatever you would call it.
Training videos, right. So you got through those and you made that first trade using options, and it was a success. So walk us through from that point forward. I mean, did you continue on with the real money, or is that just to kind of dip your toe in the water?
Actually, hang on. Before you go into that, I want to cut you off, because what I want to really emphasize for the listeners here is the fact that, don't get me wrong, penny stocks can move 100%, 300%, 500%. But what I'm really hoping that Alpha kind of realized after kind of watching the chat and, like you said, people's success with them, is that why don't you trade in that 100% gainer that maybe happens once or twice a week for maybe daily 20% gainers or daily 25% gainers? And that's what we're really kind of hammering at, is that opportunities are much more vast and much more often in options if you understand how to trade the underlying. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up, is that you can find, really good steady returns, and that's been proven by many people in the chat room who do that, who literally trade options for a living. Hooch and many other people are a great example of people who strictly trade that and find opportunities. And if you're scoffing at 20% gainers, 30% gainers, shame on you, because you have the awful habit of being greedy. If you can collect 20% every single day or 10% every single day, you're literally destroying people out there who, would generally say, I can get you, maybe 6% on your account for the entire year. So if you're thinking that 20% is kind of a low number, shame on you, first off. But anyways, sorry to go on that mini rant. Let's pick it up from where you're kind of now. You learned about options and how you're going to trade them.
Yeah, so basically I just was paper trading options, and they basically can move pretty quickly.
Let me... So you were using real money on that one trade, and then you went back to paper after that real trade. Where was this a success or what?
I keep doing like a little bit of both. I mean, like everybody's like a little different. I just feel like however comfortable I am, I guess, in that certain day. Like there was like a couple weeks that I was just doing like 1 or 2 live trades a day, and kind of got off paper a little bit, but. I mean, it's kind of like a mix right now, but right now I'm actually going back to paper for a little while because there was a couple of new tools and strategies that I need to figure out first before I implement them into my live trading.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. I'm not saying anything you've said is right or wrong, but basically you said depending on how you're feeling is going to be depending, or is going to, narrow down whether it's real money or paper trading. So can you define what would make you feel like you should be using real money? What would make you feel like you want to stay on paper?
I guess it really just comes down to, being confident in a sense. Yeah, I guess that would basically be it.
So what would make you confident to use real money versus confident to use paper money? What is bringing about confidence or taking away confidence? So if you use real money and you take a loss, does that mean all of a sudden you're going to go to paper for the next one? Is that how you're defining feel?
In a sense, like I was putting on like one or two trades a day, and just basically keeping my losses small and basically just getting small wins like here and there. So I was basically hanging around break even for a little while.
So you're hanging around. Go ahead, Chaz.
I was going to say, so you kind of mentioned something I want to harp on here at this point, is you said you're going back to paper now to kind of work on some strategies. So is it safe to say that you want to take a hard look at your trading and figure out something that works kind of better for you? And obviously, I can't commend you more than I am doing right now in the sense of recognizing that you want to at least test a strategy first, rather than just kind of dwindling your account away slowly. Even if you're exhibiting great risk management, if your strategy is not sound and it just doesn't jive with you or your personality or what you personally see on the charts, then it's not going to work. So you're going back to paper now, and like you said, you're testing out some different strategies, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean that's like really important, just being able to find your little niche, I guess, in the market. Just like whatever you would feel comfortable with, and I mean, yeah.
Just kind of making it work. Making it work within your personal risk tolerance level. So that's kind of where you're at right now, and you're just dipping your toe in the water, here and there to kind of figure out the way. But like you said, you're always controlling your risk. So while you are figuring things out and finding, your little groove, risk is managed to a very small extent. Well, we were talking actually before that we got going live, and we were talking about one of his trades that he's currently in. And right from the get-go, I mean, your risk on that was super, super small. So figuring things out while keeping risk very, very tight. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they call it a journey for a reason. I mean, I don't obviously expect to be some sort of consistent trader within less than a year. So I mean, I basically just eat, sleep, and work, and just look at charts and watch CTU, and just like endless.
So you're taking it one day at a time with the axe of the grindstone is kind of what I've gathered from that. So as far as your chart though, I mean, walk us through what exactly is on your chart. I mean, do you have any indicators that you really like? But if we were sitting next to you, and we were looking at the chart with you, what would we see?
Basically just candlesticks, price action, volume, simple moving averages, 13, 50, 200. I got Bollinger Bands up. I just really started to like them recently. Trend lines, and yeah, so on and so forth. I guess that's pretty... And I use RSI in a couple different time frames.
Okay. So, and obviously I'm assuming that you probably place a lot of, from what I can tell in the chat, you're a big fan of kind of trend lines and moving averages, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and honestly, remember that, and we say this all the time too, is that pretty much anything besides price action and volume is just a different way to kind of look at it, and that's what indicators really do. Mark's not looking for the holy grail of blending for moving averages and a MACD and an RSI with custom settings. These are just kind of things that generally help kind of confirm an idea and just kind of solidify what you see on the chart itself. But let's kind of take this a little bit into a turn into kind of what does your daily routine look like? Because I do know that you work a full-time job. Are you doing your preparation the night before? Are you doing your preparations in the morning before you go to work? What does a day in the life of Alpha look like in preparing for the market?
Basically, I get home from work at like 12:30, and usually hop on with a couple of the other owls in the chat room, and KMS, and we normally just go over different types of setups. We do our scans nightly. But I guess when it comes to market open, I usually just watch like a little basket of stocks like SPY, Netflix, Facebook, Apple, and Tesla. which I never traded, but
You're
it's
you're
definitely
dating right
interesting to
now.
watch.
You're dating it, trying to get to know its personality.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, absolutely. Just getting comfortable with just watching like a little handful of stocks.
Don't be in denial. Not in a sense. You are dating Tesla right now. You and Elon Musk might as well. I hope he buys you roses, okay? Because you're getting to know his stock. And for those listeners, I assure you this is not creepy, although it may sound creepy. We'll link it in the show notes. But how to get romantic in options trading, and bottom line, all stocks have their own little personalities, and the only way to get to know their personalities is you got to observe them, you got to watch them. And what you described is definitely what you're doing with Tesla. So before we wrap things up, I definitely want to ask this, since you're in a very interesting point of your journey, which I think a whole lot of listeners can probably identify with. So trying to kind of find your groove. But what are some strengths that you would say, that things that you're very confident in? And then what are some areas of your trading that you've identified that you want to work on and get better at?
I guess one thing I'd be confident in is just like I guess you could say I'm eager to learn, and just want to stay focused and basically just keep learning as much as I can about the market, because like that's like it seems to be like a never-ending task or goal. But
And I want the listeners out there to realize, remember that Alpha started his journey by having like a 10 or 15% success rate, and he's still here to this day. And, it's a very powerful thing to realize that, once you got a passion for something, it doesn't make it that hard to kind of continually learn. Is that fair to say, Alpha?
yeah, that's absolutely true.
Well, great. I'm glad you agree with that. And honestly, I want to thank you for taking time today. I know we had some tech issues earlier, so thanks for kind of working with us on that. But I do actually have a time machine. It is here in Denver, and thank the good Lord above that you don't live in Canada, so I don't have to deal with customs. And
like last
any of you,
week, yep.
any of you who listened last week will understand more about that. But if I was to kind of lend you this time machine, and you could go back to the start of your journey, you can decide, whether it was in that chat room or when you first tried to do the Carl Icahn type investing in value companies. What is one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Basically, skip over penny stocks and get educated first.
I like it. Skip over penny stocks, get educated first. I feel like that's kind of the arc of quite a few people's journey. Starting penny stocks, oh crap, I don't want penny stocks, was stupid, time to get educated. So I think that summarizes a lot of people's kind of journey arc from what we've heard in many of the past episodes. So again, to echo Ches, thank you for joining us, but we're not done yet. This party is just getting started. And you told us that before we got started, you took a trip down to New Orleans, which was 18 hours there and back. And on that trip, you listened to like pretty much every single, or not every episode, but like 40 other episodes or something.
Yeah, it was definitely like more than 25. It was like 30 or so.
All right, so I'm gonna put you to the tester, make sure that you're not just BSing with us. So what comes next? We've wrapped up the official interview, but what now awaits you?
What's my favorite food and what's my favorite movie?
All right, Ches.
There you go. He has proved it to us.
Yeah, he knows what's coming. So yeah, what is your favorite movie?
I gotta say Black Hawk Down.
Great movie. Clay, you ever watch that one?
That's definitely a good one. Were you in the military at one point?
No.
Okay. I still remember. I thought
exactly.
I thought you were a Navy SEAL for a while, because Nate Wilson was like, yeah, Alpha was a Navy SEAL. I'm like, that's the sweetest thing ever. So, but
he did roll up to Pittsburgh with his tactical backpack, and yeah, it was totally fitting for you to kind of think that. And Nate Wilson would say that that's just the kind of person Nate Wilson is.
Yeah.
But what would you say is your favorite food and dessert?
I guess favorite food, probably a Philly cheesesteak, and dessert, probably like a hot fudge sundae.
Nice. Now you're in New Jersey, right?
Yep.
How far are you from Philadelphia? And I asked just because, have you ever had an official Philly cheesesteak?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I actually think South Jersey cheesesteaks are better.
Ooh, shots fired. If any of you out there are from Philadelphia and want to come back to, refute this point, then just shoot Ches or I an email. But shots have been fired. This is good, Ches. We're starting geographical warfare over foods.
Nothing like a little bit of domestic turf disputes, so it's all good.
Yeah. What about what kind of hobbies do you have outside of the market? Do you have and outside of being a Navy SEAL, even though you weren't a Navy SEAL? What are your hobbies?
Basically, I'm obviously I'm into guns, and I like to go shooting a lot. That hence like the tactical gear that I always. It's just like a preference of mine. It's kind of funny, but I just feel the most comfortable in that type of clothing for some reason.
Well, I feel like tactical gear is tactical, so I don't think that's crazy at all. I mean, it sounds like you're being very wise because tactical clothing is going to be comfortable, so why not wear comfortable clothes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's going to be durable in case anything happens. But yeah, what else are you interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I like to basically go shooting. I like to work on my car. Oh yeah, how's your car, by the way, Chaz?
Yeah, me and Alpha here do have Subaru WRXs, and yes, my car is absolutely awesome. I got about 300 miles left on the break-in period, and then we'll really see what she can do. But yes, I do want to actually send a public thank you to Alpha for all of the information he kind of helped me with as I was getting ready to make that purchase, and things to do after I did make the purchase.
I was not aware that he helped you. He kind of served as a mentor in the car search.
Oh yeah, definitely, and he helped reaffirm my love for it on the test drive, and he said that I would not be disappointed. And how about it's still fun to go for a drive. It's a great car. It's a fantastic car. And us moving to Colorado, we actually just took it up to a we drove it all the way to the point where the road is closed because the conditions are so bad, and my car just handled like an absolute champ. I've never felt so planted on icy, blowing snow type roads. It's a real hoot. So yeah, and then I can't deny that it's really fun when it snows. I can take it into a parking lot and turn off the traction control. But before we go and make this a car podcast, what are 3 words you believe should be associated with kind of successful trading?
3 words. Might have to edit this out.
No, we're not editing it out. You just go with it. You just think. And well, wait a second. You knew this was coming. Yeah,
I did. It was a little oversight.
I mean, I know 3 words is very complicated. So, but you can do it. Just breathe. Just breathe.
Yes.
Let's start with 1. Give us 1 word. We're going to build. We'll one step at a time. What is 1 word?
I guess persistence.
Nice.
And
I like
educating, or education would definitely be another one.
If he wants to leave it at that, I'm okay, because I think persistence is just such a huge one that a lot of people don't give themselves time to kind of really learn this, and kind of, it's discouraging. He went through a very hard start, and he's still here to this day. So in my opinion, persistence can count as 2 words.
Well, I'm going to plug in the final one because you made a good point with it, Ches. Persistence and passion, because you are very passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely.
From listening, from observing you, you're totally passionate with, like Ches said, by all means, a requirement, any way you slice it, because if you're just getting into this game because I want to make money and that's it, you're going to burn out so fast, you're going to get frustrated so fast, you're going to give up so fast. It'll happen in the blink of an eye. So persistence, passion, and education, I think those are 3 keywords. You know what? It's actually better that you didn't say passion because, those are just words, but you're actually acting. So, you put your money where your mouth is in terms of passion. And it still goes back to Lost Puppy Dog. All of a sudden, Clay Trading University, all of a sudden, we're meeting up with you in person. So you definitely have a passion for this. You've certainly walked the walk, and that's just not a word for you. So we've all observed you definitely believe in it. It's just not a word. So AlphaThor. There we go. AlphaDog. Now, see, maybe we should edit that out, but we're not going to because my idiocy, that's not even a word. And I'm falling apart on...
You're falling apart here.
But the good thing this isn't live, but we're going to keep it in anyways. AlphaThor. There we go. AlphaThor, thank you very much for hanging out. And would you ever come back?
Yeah, absolutely, Clay.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Well, I'm glad you took some time out of your day. And thank you very much for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure.
For those of you listening, I promise I'm going to try not to fall apart any more than I already have. But if you're listening on the website, leave us a comment, click that share button. We do read comments and we will reply. If you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, please subscribe. And on iTunes especially, if you could leave us a rating, hopefully a good one. That really does help out with our ranking, help us get our name out there. So if you're somebody that's, I'm never going to spend a dime on your site, totally fine. But if you want just a free way to help us out, to let us know that you do enjoy this, leaving us a rating on iTunes truly does go a long way. And then finally, for you YouTube listeners out there, definitely check out the remainder of the channel. A lot of other different videos. And after you check those out, hopefully you decide to subscribe to the channel itself. So thank you again to Ches, the co-host.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.